Well, I've got a birthday coming up later this month, and I'm going to be 73 years old. So I thought I would just ramble on a little bit about birth and death. Of course, birth and death is a key topic in Buddhism. It references, of course, this cycle of samsara, this cycle of suffering that we're inevitably exposed to in the context of our life as a human being in this particular body. And of course, part of that, in an ultimate sense, is the dissatisfaction associated with the fact that our lifetime is limited, that we're going to die. And I found it interesting to read a recent article in the New York Times to the effect that, I knew this in general terms, but this was very specific in terms of the effect that our lifetimes, at least those of us who are fortunate enough to live in Western industrialized countries, has doubled in the past maybe 100 years or so, since the Spanish flu in 1918 or so. And of course, there have been a lot of factors that have contributed to that, not the least of which are, the discovery of antibiotics and better medical care in terms of preventive kinds of approaches, etc. But even though this means in effect that I have double the lifetime of the average person who lived not that long ago, that nevertheless, it's inevitable that one thinks about one's own demise. And I think about death probably on a daily basis. And I don't mean to say that in the context of any sense of morbidity or being morbid, but it's more a sense of, sort of staying in touch with the reality that that many people want to deny. And it's natural to want to deny death. We have this consciousness, this awareness that at least we can imagine that other sentient beings living on this planet Earth probably do not have, with the exception of maybe, chimpanzees or dolphins or whales. I don't know how much brain development is needed to have consciousness. The scientists don't even really know what consciousness is, but that's a separate topic. The point is, as I'm coming up on this birthday, I also think perhaps in a more exaggerated way or in a more intense way about the issue of death. And that brings me to something I heard recently in a Dharma talk by Reverend Umezu. She's a minister at the West LA Buddhist Temple, and she offers reflection sessions after the Dharma services on Sundays. And she's been going through a series of Rennyo's letters, and one in particular by Rennyo, who was, I think, maybe the 8th generation after Shinran. He was the one who, in the context of Jodo Shinshu or Shin Buddhism, really helped popularize Shin Buddhism. And part of how he propagated the faith, so to speak, was through letters to the followers of Shinran, as well as through passing out scrolls with the Nembutsu on it. Apparently, he first started with the 10 letter or the 10 character scrolls, and then evolved toward the 6 characters Namu Amida Butsu. But anyhow, in one of his letters, he covers a topic that my understanding is, from what she was saying, is that this was something that was perhaps read at Buddhist funerals. So I want to just take a minute to share this particular letter from Rennyo, and this translation is by Hisao Inagaki, and again is referred to in English as white ashes. Rennyo says, "When I deeply contemplate the transient nature of human life, I realize that, from beginning to end, life is impermanent, like an illusion." Well, there's a lot packed into that first sentence. Our human life, insofar as being in this particular body, is very transient, and impermanence is a fundamental aspect of reality, according to Buddhism. And it's one that we can easily get in touch with if we just put a little bit of focus or so-called mindfulness on the fact that everything is changing all the time, even to the extent that, I'm not in toto the same person now as I was when I started this video. Everything's changing. And he says, we have not yet heard of anyone who lived 10,000 years. So unless you're into a science fiction kind of realm or something like that, this human life is limited. It's transient. He says, how fleeting is a lifetime? So I could go on and interrupt and give little snippets of interpretation throughout this thing, but I'm going to start again, and I'm going to try to discipline myself to read it without interruption. So here we go. When I deeply contemplate the transient nature of human life, I realize that, from beginning to end, life is impermanent, like an illusion. We have not yet heard of anyone who lived 10,000 years. How fleeting is a lifetime! Who in this world today can maintain a human form for even 100 years? There is no knowing whether I will die first or others, whether death will occur today or tomorrow. We depart, one after another, more quickly than the dewdrops on the roots or the tips of the blades of grasses. So it is said. Hence, we may have radiant faces in the morning, but by evening we may turn into white ashes. Once the winds of impermanence have blown, our eyes are instantly closed, and our breath stops forever. Then our radiant face changes its color, and the attractive countenance like peach and plum blossoms is lost. Family and relatives will gather and grieve, but all to no avail. Since there is nothing else that can be done, they carry the deceased out to the fields, and then what is left after the body has been cremated and has turned into the midnight smoke is just white ashes. Words fail to describe the sadness of it all. Thus, the ephemeral nature of human existence is such that death comes to young and old alike without discrimination. So we should all quickly take to heart the matter of the greatest importance of the afterlife, and trust ourselves deeply to Amida Buddha and recite the Nembutsu. We need to somehow accept the transience of our lifetime and put a focus on that which is eternal, which is the potential for us to be reborn in the Pure Land, to become a Buddha, and to come back to this life and assist other people in the form of a Bodhisattva. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.